This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, hello there, hello there. It's Jeff Carter. I will welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, July the 8th, just 7 short, long years ago, Germany took on Brazil in the semifinals of the 2014 World Cup finals match. And basically, the score line will keep you in stunned silence. So, anyway, let's talk about the 2014 FIFA World Cup before we get to anything going on, because obviously, I'm not going to talk about Germany versus Argentina in the final. So anyway, this was the 20th FIFA World Cup. Yesterday I did the 10th World Cup. But now for my thing, now I'm doing the 20th World Cup. It took place in Brazil for over 1 month. And it was the second time Brazil hosted the competition. First being in 1950, when they got taken out by Uruguay at the Maracanã, and lots of deaths happened, like suicides, and Brazil basically blackballing the players for the 1950 team. 32 teams were in. Well, 31 made through qualification, and of course the host, Brazil. So this was the first time at a World Cup that match officials used goal line technology and vanishing spray for free kicks. Of course, the goal line technology was there because in 2010, Frank Lampard's goal that should have tied the game against Germany in the knockout stages was disallowed. I kind of figured Sepp Blatter was trying to fuck over England. Anyway, here's the funny thing. Every World Cup winning team since 1930, when the first tournament happened, actually qualified. That being Argentina, Brazil, England, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Uruguay. So anyway, yeah. As you should know, Germany beat Argentina to win the tournament 1-0 on a Mario Götze goal. Argentina actually kind of got robbed because they had a first half goal that was taken out by offside or something like that. Germany, this was the first time they actually won the cup since reunification, after East and West reunified and all that. And Germany was the first European team to win a World Cup in either North America or South America. Usually it was not them. So anyway, yeah. FIFA said they wanted the World Cup in South America in 2014. Brazil and Colombia had a chance, but Colombia dropped out. So anyway, the only team in the World Cup of 2014 of the 32 that did not qualify previously was Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I know I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. The funny thing about this was the first World Cup since 1982. It was the first time since 1982 that the World Cup didn't have a representative from the Nordic countries. So no Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark, I guess, being part of the Nordic countries. Wow, that's amazing. Ukraine was ranked 16th, but they didn't qualify. So anyway, yeah. So let's go through the groups. Group A had the host Brazil with Mexico, Croatia, and Cameroon. Brazil and Mexico basically used the climate to their advantage. And when Croatia did beat Cameroon, which was of little consolation. Group B saw Holland and Chile qualify, with Spain and Australia not being knocked out. It was shocking that Holland and Spain were drawn in the same group in 2014 for the group stages, whereas in 2010 they met in the final and Holland lost to Spain in extra time. Holland shocked Spain. Yes, Spain scored the first goal on a Fernando Alonso, Xabi Alonso goal. Fuck me. But Holland scored 5 straight goals after that. Van Persie scored twice, Ian Robin scored twice, and De Vrij scored once. It was shocking. Holland uses that momentum to move on. Chile shocked Spain in the second match, 2-0. And obviously Spain was all but done. They did beat Australia, but it would not have mattered. Group C saw Colombia and Greece get out of the group with Ivory Coast and Japan. I was pissed off that Japan didn't really play their best. I thought Japan was going to get in with Colombia into the second stage. Colombia, obviously South American, kind of figured the climate was helping them. And Colombia won all 3 games. Greece got taken out by Colombia 3-0. But they tied Japan 0-0 and actually shocked the Ivory Coast 2-1 on a penalty by Samaras. That penalty was huge because Ivory Coast looked like they were going to be the second team in the knockout stages in Group C. Group D saw England, and I was hoping well, but I figured it was a group of death with Italy, Uruguay, and Costa Rica. It was obvious that a lot of people said Costa Rica and Uruguay were going to qualify for the knockout stages because of the climate, and they did. Costa Rica was 2-1, and they shockingly beat Uruguay. I thought for sure Uruguay was going to beat the tar out of Costa Rica. Costa Rica would beat Italy 1-0 and hold England to a pathetic 0-0 tie. That was the only point England got after losing to Italy and Uruguay. I thought for sure they should have just smashed Costa Rica into fine bits and hopefully have Italy qualify for the stage. Of course, this was when Luis Suarez bit the Italian player and all that. I mentioned that in a previous thing. I think, right? Yeah. That wasn't good. Anyway, Group E saw France and Switzerland qualify at the risk of Ecuador and Honduras. So, yeah, those 2 countries always seem to bump each other. But France beat Switzerland 5-2 in the group stage. Group F saw Argentina and Nigeria qualify. Argentina, no doubt, moved on. Bosnia was close in their first World Cup appearance to get into the knockout stages. They did lose to Argentina 2-1 and Nigeria 1-0. So basically, they were done and dusted. They beat Iran, but it's Iran. What do you expect? Group G saw Germany, another group of death. Germany, U.S., Portugal, and Ghana were in Group G. Germany and the U.S. qualified as Portugal again got shocked by the United States. Well, it was a 2-2 tie, but basically, the Americans almost beat Portugal again, like the 2002 World Cup. So Portugal must have been pissed off. Ghana, after that near trip to the semifinals, just fell flat. Germany looked good. What do you expect? Anyway, Group H saw Belgium and Algeria qualify at the risk of Russia and South Korea. So, yeah, Algeria, that was great for them. Belgium was just on fire. And then we got to the knockout stages. Brazil and Chile had to go to a penalty kicks, and Brazil nearly won 3-2 on penalties. They missed 2, which was shocking. Colombia beat Uruguay 2-0 on Jaime Rodriguez's famous volley. That was one of the best goals of the tournament. Holland beat Mexico 2-1 on a late penalty by Huntelaar. Costa Rica and Greece went to penalties. Costa Rica hit all 5 of theirs, so Greece got knocked out. France beat Nigeria 2-0. Germany beat Algeria 2-1 in extra time. Argentina beat Switzerland 1-0 in extra time. Goal by Di Maria. And Belgium beat the Americans 2-1 after extra time, during extra time. So that was weird. So anyway, the quarterfinals happened. Germany would beat France 1-0 on a goal by Hummels. Brazil would beat Colombia 2-1. Argentina beat Belgium 1-0, and Holland took care of Costa Rica on penalty kicks. So Brazil would take on Germany in the one semifinal. Now that was the first semifinal. The second semifinal saw Holland lose in penalties to Argentina, as Argentina basically could make penalties. Brazil didn't do so well. So anyway, on to the Brazil-Germany game. They were both undefeated and all that. However, Brazil had issues. They lost both Neymar to injury, and I basically said on Facebook that Neymar's injury is going to open the door for Germany. And also Diego Silva, who's the captain, was taken out because of his accumulation of yellow cards, which meant he had to lose the semifinal. Everyone said a close match was expected. The last time they met was the 2002 final when Brazil beat Germany 2-0. However, this would be a shocking game. Lots of records would be held and all of that. So anyway, Brazil and Germany both had decent matches and all that. So they had to use Dante and Bernard for Brazil to replace Thiago Silva and Neymar respectfully. So both teams were made to attack, but Germany struck first on a goal by Thomas Müller, who basically was a high pressed guy. So it was 1-0 for Germany. No big deal. And then 12 minutes later, the shot went off Julio Cesar, who was a goalie for Brazil, and fell to Miro Klose, who scored. And with that goal, he set the record for most World Cup goals ever with 14, beating the great Ronaldo's record for Brazil. But that would be the start of something unseen in Brazil history, as Toni Kroos would score goals 2 minutes apart to make it 4-0. And by the 29th minute, there was a fifth by a goal by Sami Khedira. So anyway, it was 5-0, and basically it was over. Germany would score a pair of goals later on as Andre Schürrle put up a pair to make it 7-0. Brazil scored a goal late in time in the 90th minute. And, well, even though Manuel Neuer was upset over what happened, you can't blame him. I mean, he doesn't like to give up a goal and all that. So basically, the game was over. 7-1 was the score. This was actually the worst loss in Brazilian history. They had lost 6-0 to Uruguay in 1920. But anyway, yeah, losing by 6, that's just unbelievable. And it actually ended a run of 62 straight matches on home turf that Brazil was unbeaten in. The fans were not happy with them and all that. Well, obviously, what could you do? So anyway, Brazil's starting lineup was Julio Cesar in net, and then the back line was Maicon, David Luiz, Dante, and Marcelo, with Fernandinho, Luis Gustavo Hulk, and Oscar in the midfield, and then Bernard with Fred. Meanwhile, Paulino came in for Fernandinho, Ramirez came in for Hulk, and Willian came in for Fred. Meanwhile, Germany had Manny Neuer in net. The back four of Philipp Lahm, Jerome Boateng, Mats Hummels, and Howitz. Benedict Howitz, that is. Their midfield had 4 players: Sami Khedira, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Thomas Müller, and Toni Kroos, alongside Mesut Ozil and Miro Klose. Germany replaced Hummels with Mertesacker at the half. Schürrle replaced Klose, and Draxler replaced Khedira. But anyway, doesn't matter. So 7-1. Shots on target were 10-8 for Germany. Germany almost scored as many goals as Brazil had shots on target, which was weird. Of course, this obviously was the biggest winning margin in a World Cup semi or final. It was the worst loss by a host country in World Cup history. The previous record was 3 by a home country losing on home turf during the World Cup. Wow. 167 goals by the end of the game was scored in the 2014 World Cup, the second most after 1998. And that record in 98 still stood because of the fact that, 3 goals in the 1 goal. I think it stood or something like that. Anyway, it had the fastest 4 goals scored in World Cup history, as Germany scored 4 goals in 6 minutes. Austria in 1954 in one game did 7 minutes, and Hungary also did it, I guess, against El Salvador, if I remember right. So anyway, Germany equaled the record for most goals scored against the host nation at the World Cup, as Austria beat the host Switzerland in the 1954 World Cup 7-5. Germany became the highest scoring team in World Cup history, overtaking Brazil. Brazil and Germany were even with 7 World Cup finals, and Germany, of course, took that. Anyway, this was amazing. The last time Brazil had lost a game on home turf was 1975 in the Copa America. And Brazil had 6 straight had won 6 straight World Cup semifinals heading into this game, but Germany broke that mark. Brazil lost the semi against Italy in 1938. Yeah. Germany, for the fourth straight tournament in 2014, got to the final 3 teams, got to at least play in the third place game at worst. That would actually be broken in 2018 as they didn't even get out of the group stage. So yeah, this was amazing and all that. It was just shocking. Tony Cruz was named man of the match. But yeah, there were a lot of records that were set. Closest score 16th. Oh, okay. I said 14th. Fuck me. Sorry. Anyway, this game was dubbed the Mineiro. The Agony Mineiro, because of it being in Belo Horizonte, mirroring the Maracanazo at the Maracana. Brazil would lose the third place game 3-0 to Holland, and Germany would beat Argentina in the final, as we say. So yeah, it was just shocking. Brazil was not happy with everything. Yeah. The papers were not too happy about that. There was a massive aftermath and all that. I mean, what do you expect? There were a lot of Brazilians who actually wanted Germany to beat Argentina in the final because obviously Argentina is their massive rival and all that. Luis Felipe Scolari would resign from the Brazilian squad after that, and Dunga came in the town. However, after Brazil crashed out of the group stage of the Copa America Centennial in the US, he was replaced. So yeah, that was huge. And of course, I got to tell you something. I got to slip in a Simpsons reference here. In 2014, before the World Cup, there was a episode of The Simpsons called "You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee." Basically, Lisa has to give a speech on her favorite her hero or heroine, and unfortunately, Martin stole Mary Curie from underneath her nose. So basically, she has to find someone, and she basically picked Homer for some reason, and did pretty well. She even said that as a soccer referee, Homer basically did what few parents would do: cheer against their daughter. And strangely enough, FIFA was under some kind of scandal and all that. Actually, The Simpsons predicted the scandal before it really came to the mainstream. But yeah, so Homer was made to be referees because he wasn't to be bribed and all that. So he goes to Brazil. Of course, the previous visit to Brazil was scandalous because it almost ruined Rio's tourism, and The Simpsons made an apology. So anyway, he does the first game between Brazil and Luxembourg, all that. And basically, people try to corrupt him, and he fails to take any bribes whatsoever. Homer seems to be doing pretty well because he's basically buoyed by the fact that, Lisa has trust in him because, she he is her hero. However, Bart lets it spill that Lisa only picked Homer because she had nobody else. So Homer decides to take a bribe to help Brazil beat Germany in the final. Lisa is upset, but Homer is more upset with the fact that Lisa let him down. Lisa said, "I know you're hurt, but basically what you have been doing in Brazil has actually proved that I've made the right choice." Homer basically decides to double cross the gambler. And basically Homer's brain says, "Yeah, but you're going to be pissing off a lot of people." And Homer says, "I'm going to do the one thing I like to do, run away from danger." Well, so anyway, Homer doesn't give in to the Brazilian star, El Divo, if you will, or El Divo. So basically, Brazil loses to Germany 2-0, and the fans are not too happy. And it was like shocking that The Simpsons predicted Germany beating Brazil. However, it's not a full-on prediction because this was in the final and the Brazil-Germany game was in the semifinals. But still, I mean, good insight. Of course, Homer gets lucky when the gambler's mother actually stops him from hurting Homer because of the fact that Lisa and her switched seats so that she could watch some TV and all that. So yeah, I always had to put the Simpsons in it. Do 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 do. Yahoo! Oh, and on a personal note, I actually ended up watching the first half of Germany Brazil. It was like 5-0. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Now for Germany Brazil. Now I had to miss the second half because I actually had a late shift at Target and all that. So basically, yeah. And I've got to be a little bit honest. I kind of weaseled my way out of working a long 8-hour shift during the World Cup final, saying that I had plans for the World Cup and all that. Then again, I didn't know Germany would be in the finals, so I weaseled my way out. Stupidly, I've regretted it ever since. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.